Hello, this is Mr. Joe. The title of today's video is Why Regime Change is Useless. Donald Trump, in a series of changing explanations for why he invaded Iran, has said first that first that it was because we were against Iran's nuclear program. Donald Trump specifically stated we are not at war with Iran, but with their nuclear program. Then later on, he changed his mind in the middle of negotiations and launched a sneak attack. So, why is regime change useless? Because there's no one there who wants regime change. You have Islamic fundamentalists who may want the current uh, leader out. Then you have Islamic fundamentalists who want a different leader. But here's the thing, are you paying attention now? None of them want the American way of life, American democracy. They are all Islamic and they believe in rule by a supreme leader and the system of government they had. American leaders tell Americans we have to invade who bring democracy to these oppressed countries, but many of these countries, they don't want democracy. They want their own way of life, and they're perfectly satisfied with the regime they have. So if you think that us invading Iran is going to bring regime change, then you're living in la la land. That's never land. Maybe you believe in Tinkerbell. That's wildly delusional. It's not just delusional, it's crazy. Israel is killing all the leaders of Iran. And who's the new leader? The son of the previous supreme leader. You'll forgive me, but I can't pronounce his name, not being too good in Arabic. So that's the situation. And Israel is really waging war for revenge on the attack by Hezbollah. The United States, I'm sorry to say, and my message to all Americans, were there in it to steal their resources, oil, gold, uranium, whatever precious resource a country has, and we go to war for, we steal some of it. War is not about bringing right and justice and democracy or even religion to another country. Somebody has to profit from it. And unless somebody profits from it, there's usually no war. On occasion, wars may be waged for other reasons, but the United States has gone horribly wrong. Donald Trump, like I said, first stated we are not at war with Iran, but with their nuclear program. Last summer I forget which month, of 2025, he said their nuclear program has been obliterated. Now, this year, we have to go back to war because it hasn't been obliterated. So, was he telling the truth last year or is he telling the truth this year? After analyzing Donald Trump's statements, I'm convinced that he went back on his promises. I saw at least 3 videos. He went back on his promises not to wage war and embarked on a deliberate campaign of misinformation and lies to mislead the American people into convincing them that it's in their interest to wage war on Iran when it's not. First, he said that in 3 different videos, he would not start any new wars. And if you're an American, you remember Donald Trump saying if he was president, the war with Ukraine never would have started. Well, that's not exactly true. Putin would have invaded Ukraine anyway. Maybe Trump might have brought them together, but it's unlikely. And Trump said he would never start any new wars in at least 3 videos I saw. There may be more, but I've seen 3. And in another video, he said he's not starting any new wars for the globalists. But guess what? He is, because there's too much oil involved. Donald Trump crossed the line last year when he ordered a boat strike on Venezuela, killing possibly two innocent fishermen, sending it to the sea. Think about what happened. The Defense Department had intelligence. These are drug dealers. So they blew up the boat. Everything went to the sea, and there's no proof that they were drug dealers. In other words, they are accountable to no one. They don't have to furnish proof to the American people of what they do. They can kill without their word is not good enough. We cannot take anyone's word. Not Donald Trump's word, not Joe Biden's word, not Carolyn Levitt's word, not some general's word. We should have solid proof. And even then, before ordering a boat strike, these men should have been boarded by the Navy, arrested, and brought to trial. But that didn't happen. They're just blown up, murdered in cold blood, and everything went to the sea without any proof whatsoever. Then he seizes a Venezuelan oil tanker. And the third step, which I was absolutely flabbergasted and shocked at, he kidnapped President Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela. I never even heard of such a thing in my lifetime until Trump got in office. And I want to say at this point that I used to be a Trump supporter. I think he offered a better way than Joe Biden, but I can't stand by him now. He's doing everything wrong. He told Ukraine, hurry up and make a deal with us. It's the only deal you're getting. He wanted access to the Ukraine's uranium deposits and whatever else minerals the Ukraine has. I'm glad Zelensky didn't make a deal and hurry up and make a deal to sign over a disproportionate amount of the wealth for the United States. Donald Trump, the leader of the free world, is talking about taking over Greenland by force. We're going to force Greenland at the point of a gun to accept democracy. Soldiers with a gun in the hand. Do you want democracy? Yes or no? That is so wrong. My fellow Americans, I honestly believe it's time to remove Trump from power and the current Congress from power. Congress has ceded its ability, or rather, its constitutional right. What it says in the Constitution, only Congress can declare a war. But sometimes in the 50s or 60s, there was a law passed. Congress passed the law giving the president a year to wage limited action in another country. In other words, to send troops for limited action for a year. And after the year is up, guess what? He just renews it. And then it can go another year and another year. No end in sight. But anyway, Donald Trump has told a series of lies, deliberate lies. Not he's not acting on whim or impulse. There was also another statement he made after February 28th. I can't remember if it was a few days or a week. He said him and his generals, the Department of Defense staff, had been working on plans for a while, get this, for a while, to invade Iran. So, if he was working on plans for a while to invade Iran, why did he say a few months before that he would start no new wars? He thought he was being clever in misleading people. He may not have wanted to mislead the American people at first, but he realized he had to tell lies to get Iran to accept it. Then, in the middle of negotiations, he attacks suddenly, like the Japanese at Pearl Harbor, and he's making jokes about it. When the Japanese prime minister came over here, he wants to annex countries in the name of the United States against their will. And he's telling the deliberate lie now that Iran were not 2 weeks away from enriching uranium to make a nuclear bomb, 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb. Well, in 1995, the United States and Israel says, well, Iraq, I can't remember which nation it was. It may have been Iran, one of them, that they were 5 years, I think it was Iran, 5 years away from a nuclear bomb. They're always either 5 years, 1 year, 2 years. You'll remember George W. Bush Sr. gave the lie in 1990 that the country of Iraq, not Iran, Iraq, Saddam Hussein was in power then, had weapons of mass destruction, and everyone knew that they didn't have this, that there was no nuclear bomb. They didn't even have enriched uranium to build the bomb to even get started, and everyone knew this. And later on, one of his staff, Donald Rumsfeld, wrote a book to start a war. And the Russians, a Russian high ranking official, came on TV some years after and said they were amazed at America starting a war with a country 8,000 miles away. Well, it was about oil. According to news reports now, Iraq was artificially fiddling, meddling with the price of oil and causing difficulties in its shipping and possibly price. That's why we invaded them. Not because of the bullshit excuse they had weapons of mass destruction. A weapon of mass destruction could be a biological weapon too, that could kill hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions. So, excuse me. So, ending this video, Donald Trump, I'm going to make another video. And if you've gotten this far, please hit the subscribe button. Uh, yes, the subscribe button. Donald Trump has done everything this wrong this year, pressuring Ukraine to make a bad deal, handing over their uranium, saying he's going to take Greenland by force, lying to the American people deliberately, saying he wouldn't start a war, then launching a surprise sneak attack on Iran and wanting to destroy the country of Iran because they're opposed to Israel. US and Israel are the real axis of evil in this one. And we have no reason. Congress did not declare, number one, Congress did not declare war on Iran. And number two, the Iranian Navy never fired on any of our ships. No sailors were ever killed or put in danger that one of our submarines snuck up on their frigate Dana or Dena. You could look it up in the news. I can't pronounce it the way they pronounce it because it's in Arabic, so, but you know what I mean if you've been following this at all. They were having exercises, naval exercises off of India, and we just blew it up. Donald Trump gave the ultimatum to Iran, you're going to make a deal with Israel or we're at war. Naturally, they won't make a deal with Israel, so to show his power and might like a child, he blew up one of their ships. That's cold-blooded murder. Like I says, none of their ships fired on one of our ships, and Congress didn't declare war. There was no reason for this. The Iranians don't want war with us because they know they couldn't stand up and prevail against us. And many people are waking up to the fact that this is an illegal, unjust, and unconstitutional war. So write to your congressman and tell him you don't want any more unauthorized wars. That is, Congress should vote that we're at war with a nation before something like this happens, because this is incredible. Then, of course, there was the bombing of the girls' school. I think 150 Iranian schoolgirls were killed. Either us or Israel, according to news reports, if they're accurate, a Tomahawk missile hit it. So Donald Trump says, well, I can live with it. Yes, he can live with it, and this fuels hatred. Uh, and if Iran had fired on us, had fired on a Navy ship, I would be the first one to say, let's go to war, we're justified. But this is all completely unjustified and illegal and as immoral as you can get. This reminds me of Hitler trying to annex Czechoslovakia against their will, which he did, and invading other countries. So this is Mr. Joe. Write to your congressman, email them, or leave a voicemail, however you do, and tell them you don't want this Iran war to continue and you don't want any more unauthorized wars. This is Mr. Joe signing off for today.